Just kidding. It's recording. All right. So, like I said, July is the recipe challenge. Where I don't know how it's all going to work yet. I haven't figured those details out. But where we can exchange healthy recipes. So the idea is if you have a recipe that's already healthy, great. But this is going to help you make sure either taking a healthy recipe and making sure it really is. Because when people tell me, "Oh, Sarah, this is healthy," and I'm like, "All this is a bunch of fat-free, sugar-free. It's not real." Like we like the clean eating idea. That's what we're looking for healthy recipes. And so this will help you take any recipe, whether you think it's healthy or not healthy, and reconstruct it to try to make it healthier. Okay? And there are some exceptions to that rule, but we'll go through that. So the first one is, so we're going to use RISE, which is reduce, incorporate, substitute, and eliminate. So that's how you go through a recipe to decide how you can make it healthy. So reducing is pretty simple. You're just going to use less of a healthy ingredient or a less healthy ingredient. You're going to reduce it if it's a part of the essential final product. Okay, so eliminate is for something that you can just get rid of. Where reducing is like, this is, I need this as part of whatever I'm making. I can't just, not have it in there. Okay, so then we would just want to reduce it. So examples of reducing are always going to, not always, but mainly going to be your fat, sugar, or your salt. Okay, those are three areas that we should be hoping to reduce anyway. I should at least say bad fat, but sugar and salt for sure. So reducing oil or shortening in baked goods, you can reduce that usually by about a quarter to a half, up to a half, depending on what you're making, so it doesn't change the consistency too much. We'll get into substituting later about what you can use instead of the fats, but even just to start off, if you don't want to substitute it out, just change, just reduce it a little bit. Reducing sauces, like creamy or cheesy or buttery sauces on vegetables and mixed dishes. Anybody grow up in a household where if you had a bowl of veggies, it was like a huge, half stick of butter floating in it, right? Yeah, I know. There's a lot of families to do that. So, we don't need that on there. Reducing the amount of sugar by about 25% in any recipe or more if it doesn't change the taste too much. A lot of times, think about recipes that have been handed down over the generations. If you think about it, a lot of times they didn't have the same sugar that we had. It's, our sugar is super refined, and things that we can load up sugar probably taste a little different. Their fruit tasted different. All of their things tasted different. So, we might not need as much sugar as, great grandma put in her, rhubarb pie or whatever it is. Okay, so you can probably reduce it a lot. Reducing salt. I don't add salt to anything after I cook it. So I add salt during the cooking or baking process if it calls for it, because that sometimes has a chemical component to it that changes the outcome of the food. So I do salt when I cook to try to get the veggies to release their waters and their sugars and their flavors. It helps flavor development, but that's it. And then I don't use anything processed. So I use low sodium chicken broth. I don't use anything canned besides beans. And I always rinse beans off. You guys know that anytime you use canned beans to rinse them off before you use them. Okay, that's pretty essential. They're not that salty solution. Same thing with canned veggies. So it's not, I always encourage you not to have canned veggies, but if you have them, you have them. I eat beans a lot, so I really should probably get on board and just start cooking them myself. But the soaking, cooking, removing stones process feels a little arduous sometimes. Okay. And then this one I love throwing at everyone, especially in Wisconsin, is reducing meat. The amount of meat per serving of a recipe is more than humans typically need. In the United States, we eat double the amount of protein that we need. The protein kick has got most of us in the health field like, what is this all about? Oh, I just need protein. Protein this, protein that. And it's usually in the form of animal protein, like cheese or meat. It's rarely nuts and veggies and grains, which you can get all of your protein from plants. Okay, so I'm not telling any of you that you have to be vegetarian or vegan, but you can reduce meat. Okay, I still cook and eat with meat, but I eat plant-based a lot. But if I do use meat, I reduce it. Not everyone needs their own gigantic pork chop for dinner. If you're going to cook with chicken, one chicken breast is usually the size of a chicken you'd never see anywhere. okay? And that'll stretch for a whole thing of meals, okay? So you don't need to use all of it. I was explaining to someone that I do cook with nitrate-free bacon, but for a meal that ended up with 6 different portions, I used 4 slices of bacon, okay? Because when you cook with bacon, when you taste something, you're like, there's bacon in here. Whether you're eating the bacon or not, it flavors everything. Your house smells like bacon, okay? So we don't need as much meat as we think we do. And if anybody has cholesterol problems, this is the #1 way to bring them down, is reduce your animal products. That includes dairy, okay? So just reducing it. Like I said, you don't have to eliminate it. That's fine, but it's possible. Anyone think that's just crazy? No one's afraid to be like, yes, I eat meat. Oh, yeah, no? Okay, good. All right. And that I've, submitted you into fear, and that's fine, and everyone's quiet, okay? Shoot. Everyone's quietly nodding like, she's going to pick on me if I say something. Okay, so is there anything else that you guys think of that you reduce when you're cooking? Or anything else, like an ingredient that you're like, ooh, we try to just not use as much of that, or does that kind of cover the bases? Yeah? Okay. Cindy, I'm looking at you for a lot of this. You got a lot of you've got stuff that you said that I put in here. All right, so let's talk about incorporating. So incorporating is your great way of getting healthy nutrients into your meals. So a lot of times stuff is a little limited on vegetables or on nutrients, and so there's a lot of ways that we can add more in and kind of power pack things. So we can improve that nutritional value. Obviously, adding veggies is kind of the #1 way because you can put that in so much stuff. So adding any chopped veggies or beans to spaghetti sauces, tacos, soups, other like sauces or creamy or broth type soups, eggs, adding veggies to your eggs on top of salads, green salads, even pasta salad. Anytime you're making anything like that, see what you can put in there. And I've always talked to you guys about adding in beans into ground meat, into ground beef or ground turkey breast. So all of those ways are really great to incorporate food. I know a lot of parents who puree a lot of things to get it into sauces. We've talked about it at length, how many times I tell everyone to get that stuff in your recipes. All right, so when you're looking at your recipes, what can you add that would taste good? All right, so I keep adding lentils to things, and so far no one notices. Except I did spill them the other day, and they got stuck on his feet in the kitchen. So that was a giveaway that I was cooking with lentils. And he was like, what is this? And I'm like, I just haven't slept yet. I'll just wait a second. So yeah, you have to clean up your evidence, all right? But you can cook with this stuff, and you can include it, and you're like, oh, I'm just power packing all these nutrients, and no one knows any different, okay, including yourself. I talk about loading up veggies on salads. I think a lot of times when we think about salad, we think, okay, bed of greens, and maybe a couple other things I like of veggies, like your classic cucumber, tomato, carrots. But then people might just kind of stop there, and they don't go, and they're like, and then I add chicken, or then I add tuna or eggs. And a lot of those are great choices. But what about even just adding other vegetables that you might not think of? Or I like to take roasted veggies and even like reheat them and put them on top of cold salad. Because if you've ever had like a salad that had like hot, like steak, like if you put steak on it, it's warm. It's so good on there. So warm and cold salad does make a lot of sense. I've taken like roasted potatoes and asparagus and reheated it and put it on top of my salad. It was really good. I didn't even really need dressing because it kind of all went together. So get creative with your salads. The other thing is to try new things that maybe you haven't had. Have you guys heard of jicama? Have I talked to you guys about jicama? Do you know what that is? Oh, yeah. It's the root thing. Is it a root? I don't know. So. It looks like a bulb that you would plant in your garden.
Right.
Okay. And is it Mexican, Mercedes? I thought so.
We ate a lot.
Yeah, I love it. Yes.
With lime and chili powder.
Yes.
And salt.
It's so good. Yeah. Because it's like, it's watery, but it's crisp. It's so hard to tell someone that. It's not soggy. It's like it's almost like a cucumber, where like you bite into it and it has that water. Or it's a lot like watermelon actually, because it's like crispy and kind of it's really good. But you just cut off the top and the bottom. I just peel around the sides and I cut it into matchsticks and I throw it on my salads, usually with a cilantro lime dressing, and it's killer. Yeah, so it adds that crunch without adding, you know, sesame sticks and croutons and all that stuff. So if you want to add crunch, add nuts and seeds and different crunchy veggies and things like that. So kind of play with textures that way, and then you're adding different nutrients and incorporating that into something we're going to eat already. Jicama. It's spelled J-I. Yeah, so you would, yeah.
I've been looking for a while.
J-I-C-A-M-A. Okay. I'm so glad you're here. I mean, for more reasons than just my spelling and my Mexican cooking.
What's it next to?
Oh, it's in the produce section.
In the veggie section.
Yeah. It might be near the cilantro and the peppers, but it could be near
So
one of
it's
the.
big? How big is it?
Yeah, like a handful.
Like onion size?
Yeah, a little bit bigger than an onion. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. They're probably like on a top shelf, and you're like, "What's that? I've never seen that." But that's what it is. Yeah. Google image it, and then you'll know. Yeah, and then you. Yep, you eat it raw. It's like she said, you can just put chili powder on it and some cilantro and lime.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah. The skin is hard. That's too tough. Yeah, it's good. I like it. Okay. What else? Cindy, you do a lot of this stuff too. Adding wheat germ, flaxseed meal, or chia seeds to smoothies and baked goods. So adding in those extra healthy fats and nutrients into your baked goods and smoothies. It's really great. And just yogurt. If you put chia seeds in yogurt and let them sit for a while, it's just like seeding. What are those things that? Chia pet. Yeah. It's like chia pet because that's what it is. But they're so good. Like I've done that with like cinnamon and just a little cocoa powder, and it's like I don't know. It tastes really good. So you can add those things in. Nutritional yeast. Who here has used or heard of nutritional yeast? Okay. Do you like it?
I think I got the wrong kind. I got like powdered.
No, that's it.
Yeah, but it didn't really mix in well with the sauce
Okay.
that I was making.
Okay.
It just like clumped.
Oh, did it?
It's kind of gross, yeah.
Yeah. Might need to whisk it a little. Yeah. It kind of, I was explaining in the earlier class that it kind of looks like fish food, and then I'm like, maybe I shouldn't describe it. Your face was perfect. Well, no. But it's like flaky.
No, that's the kind that I did not.
Oh,
This
so
was
you get it.
in a tub, and it's like legitimate powder.
Oh, then yeah, that probably would
This is-
clump up.
Yeah, it was the same thing, just in a different.
It's just finer. Yeah. Okay. So I had the flakes, and I, in kicking myself because I was going to bring it in today, but I put them on in roasted veggies. I put them on in sauces, and I put them in I made like spaghetti pie, and I didn't want to put cheese in, so I did the nutritional yeast. It kind of has like a nutty Parmesan-y flavor to it, so it adds cheese flavor, but without actually being cheese. And it has tons of B vitamins and zinc. It's really good for you. So I got it at Woodman's in Bob's Red Mill or whatever. They make it. So we can. I told the first hour, go out and look for it and tell me where you can find it around here, because everybody goes to different grocery stores. Oh, I'm at Pick and Save North, or I'm at Piggly Wiggly, or someone has to check out Meijer. Okay, so go out and let me know if you can find it and where you found it. Okay, I got it once at Whole Foods in the bulk bins because it was the only thing I could afford at Whole Foods, but it was nice. Yeah.
Like I couldn't find it at Pick and Save at all.
No.
But then I went to like this hippie place and I found out.
What was it? Health Hut or Trader Joe's?
Oh, it's called like milk and honey or something.
Okay, that sounds pretty. Yeah. Did it smell like patchouli when you came in?
Yeah,
And...
it was like hot and humid and gross and
Ew! They probably had a million diffusers going, and that's hilarious.
it was weird.
God, but I would love it in a fly on the wall when you walked in there. But but yeah, they have it at Whole Foods in the bulk bins. If you you live down there, so that'd be close. But anyway, it is really good, and it's a way to kind of add that and and trick people that you feed that there's no cheese in there. And then we talked about adding nuts and seeds and stuff to salad for crunch. Okay, so anybody else for incorporate? Any other things that they do to incorporate nutritional things in?
I made omelets this weekend and I put cauliflower and broccoli in it, but I cut it really, really fine and it was really good.
Yeah. We're going to talk about substituting. Cauliflower is the new flour. everyone's using it in everything. I've riced my
Like, what are you
cauliflower
picking out?
every
I'm
week.
like, just try.
Yes.
Just eat it.
Yeah.
And it was very good.
That
I would do it again.
Mm-hmm.
With
Yeah,
all
because
the
broccoli goes on omelets all the time. Why
Yeah.
can't cauliflower?
Yeah.
What did I ever
You
do
can
wrong?
barely see the yellow of the egg because it's all green.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just,
It's just solid.
the egg is just there to keep the veggies together.
Yes, hold them together.
Yeah, yeah, it's the glue. Yeah, that's awesome. So that's perfect. Yeah, adding in veggies and stuff where you can, or fruit where you can. So we're talking about some substitution, but anywhere that you can add that stuff in, throw it in there. Someone gave me an idea today because we were talking about the avoiding bad carbohydrates challenge last month, and instead of, I guess it's a substitution, but incorporating instead of brown sugar, you put blueberries on, so it's adding in where you can. So it's like, well, why wouldn't I? Well, I guess, yeah, it's that kind of stuff. I can throw that on there. So think about that when you're trying to incorporate stuff. I do a lot of that when I look through my pantry and my fridge when I'm making stuff. I'm like, what else could go in here? Maybe it ruins it. I don't know. We ate it. All right. So substitutes. So we're talking about different substitutions. One is the old applesauce trick. Everyone knows about the applesauce in exchange for oil, right? In baking. Okay. So it's a good trick. Or other mashed fruit, bananas, and avocados. Like in the next line, it says how that's good for like quick breads and other baked goods, but it's not good in everything. So sometimes you want to just swap out the oil. I tend to find coconut oil is good for swapping oil out, especially in cooking. If you want a high heat cooking, but you don't want to use vegetable oil, canola or coconut oil is a good choice. And it's weird. My dog likes coconut oil. Every time I bring that jar out, she goes bananas. I don't know why she likes it, but it's probably good for her coat. But anyway, so changing that oil out. And if you're using applesauce, you might want to add a little bit of baking soda to kind of smooth out flavor and reduce baking time. So anytime you're doing substitutions, you guys, or reducing, make sure if you're baking something or cooking, like watch it a little bit more closely than you might have in the past with the same recipe, just so you might not know with temperatures and stuff what could be different. So you don't be like, well, Sarah, I tried doing that and it just scorched the heck out of it, or it never rose, or da-da-da-da-da, So think about not, going too crazy with it. Replacing half the butter or oil with as much yogurt. So if you have if it calls for like a cup of oil or butter, you can use 1/2 of it oil and then do 1/4 cup of it yogurt. So you can use yogurt in place of that. This one I have not tried. Flaxseed can be used to reduce oil or butter, specified in the recipe because of its high oil content. So if it calls for 1/3 cup of oil, replace for 1 cup of ground flaxseed. And I thought, doesn't that seem like it would be
It
really?
seems high because I put flax in a lot of stuff and it gets drier.
That's what
Really
I
be careful
thought,
when you
not
add that.
fat. I
can't
mean-
imagine that it is oil.
It should say flaxseed meal. I would think the meal instead of the flax seeds because it would. But I don't know. I can't imagine it replacing oil like that. But I put it in there in case someone wants to try it. I don't want to say it's not true. Swapping honey for sugar. So if you're using, please be using real honey, hopefully local. 3/4 cup of honey for each cup of sugar, and reduce other liquids. You might need to kind of look if there's other liquids in there so it doesn't get runny or not the consistency you want when it's done. Intensify sweetness by adding vanilla, nutmeg, or cinnamon to a recipe. So sometimes if you're like, oh, it's it could be a little sweeter, try going with some seasonings. It can trigger that sweet sensation for us. Swapping out plain yogurt for sour cream. That's something I do in stroganoff. So when you want that tangy flavor, think about yogurt. Okay. I mean, there really isn't too much wrong with like Daisy regular sour cream, not the light stuff, but just regular sour cream. But if you want some little probiotics or something, it'd be nice to just swap that out. But think about using yogurt. Using evaporated milk instead of heavy cream if you're making like a white sauce. You can I like using just almond milk altogether. For your pastas, we've talked about this a lot, using rice pasta, quinoa pasta, spaghetti squash, zucchini, if you've got some kind of spiralizer, using those kind of things. In the cauliflower, what can't you do with cauliflower, right? It's it's kind of become, it's the mashed potatoes, it's the crust, it's the rice, it's everything. So get it in there. The other day I made, I gotta finish it tonight, make stir fry. I did brown rice, and then I had one of those cauliflowers, they're just little guys, and I'm like, oh, I'll just put that in there. So I just put my food processor, I pulsed it a couple times, it got to rice size. I added a little bit more liquid as the rice was almost done. Chucked it all in there, stirred it up, it cooked up just enough, and now we have cauliflower and rice. So it's mixed together. So it works. Okay, let's see what else. Anybody else use cauliflower for anything else before I go on? No?
I made hummus.
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it, but nobody else liked
Really?
it. Yeah. But it was
Oh.
garlicky, and I like garlic.
Yeah.
It was good. It tasted and had the same consistency and everything.
I love hummus
So you
like
just
that.
use
Yeah.
cooked cauliflower?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and a food processor, yeah.
With a little bit of oil and
Instead
garlic,
of-
salt, pepper.
Instead of any hummus?
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
the
Like
chickpeas.
That might be,
Yeah.
that might work.
Veggies on veggie, I like
Yeah.
it. That's awesome. Yeah, you can do that with peas too, like green peas. You can make hummus out of green peas, and chickpeas, obviously. There was another thing of hummus that I can't think of now. But yeah, that's awesome. I never thought about that. I do whole wheat pastry flour for all of my flour. I don't really use any other flour but that now, and I haven't run into a problem yet. Now, I'm not much of a baker, so I don't know. So you guys, I have to try it, but I just use whole wheat pastry flour for all of my all-purpose flour needs. Using low-sodium chicken broth or vegetable broth in cooking to make your gravies, like thickening sauces. I've talked to you at length about substituting beans for meat or combining half and half. And like we talked about, substituting that nutritional yeast for Parmesan cheese. Oh, and then on the back here, a couple things. What was it? Last week I made bean lentil burgers, and I needed breadcrumbs to glue together or whatever, and I didn't have any. Have you guys ever looked at the canister ingredients on breadcrumbs? It's insane. Like, what is that? You would just think, well, then this crumbs of bread, and it's like this long. I don't know why they have all that stuff in there. Lots of preservatives. So in the past, I'll take like a loaf of my sprouted grain bread and just toast it all and season it and then put it in the food processor, and then I just get a big thing of it and keep it in the freezer. Great, fine. Didn't have any. But what I did have was leftover rosemary Triscuits, and we had wheat checks in the house for some reason. I think we must have made checks, which I don't eat cold cereal, but whatever. So I put those in the food processor and like, we'll see how this works, whatever. And it made awesome crumbs. And I'm like, this would be great for like breading something, but I put it in the burgers and it was perfect. So get creative. Like a Triscuit is good, and they're already come seasoned, and they already have some oil in there, so it kind of adds, it's not like having to butter bread and season it, and then, and you don't have to wait for it to cool off. So, kind of get creative with that kind of stuff. And then lastly, I just want to make sure we talked about swapping out avocado for lots of things, including mayonnaise on your sandwich if you can't stand a dry sandwich, butter on toast, yogurt and smoothies. That's one thing too, like using less dairy. I do, an avocado in my smoothie instead of yogurt, and that's nice, so it helps with things like inflammation. If you have any sort of issue with dairy, that's a great substitute. Any other substitutes you can think of?
We just use the Greek for any type of dips or anything else.
Oh,
We
yes.
don't mayonnaise with it.
Yeah. So using Greek yogurt, that consistency is really nice for dips and stuff. Like, you can mix Greek yogurt with a jar of already pre-made pesto, and you've got a great veggie dip instead of that like regular dill dip or whatever it is. So yeah. And then eliminating a less healthy ingredient if it's optional and included primarily for habit or appearance. So sometimes we just have stuff because you're like, well, that's just how we make it. But maybe you don't need it, like 2 inches of frosting on something, okay? Maybe you just put a little brown sugar on it, okay? So I think we kind of overdo it with some things because we think it has to be on there. I always think that way with like Cool Whip. Like, do you need whipped topping on everything? Like, just eat the food, so it's just oil, it's gross. So if you can eliminate it, eliminate it. If you can not put butter on something, if you can avoid adding cheese to everything, if you can avoid added salt. That's going to be helpful. A couple things to remember: don't change everything all at once. Test things out first, because otherwise you guys will go off and be like, "That was the grossest thing I've ever done, Sarah." And don't expect it to taste exactly like the original. My Alfredo is a healthy version of it. If you put it side by side with a classic Alfredo recipe, you're gonna know the difference. But if I made it for you and you were just eating it, you wouldn't know. Okay, so don't think it's gonna taste exactly like the original. Using a test the adapted recipe, okay, until you find the version you like best. And then lastly, some recipes you just can't modify. Okay, it's fine. Eat them when the occasion calls for it. I was trying to think of one this morning, and in fitness class, someone was like, s'mores. Figure out a way around that. No, you eat your s'more, okay? That's fine. And in fact, double down, and instead of the chocolate, do a Reese's peanut butter cup or another. It's so good. It's so good. Okay, so you gotta live a little bit, all right?
Protein.
What's that?
The Reese's peanut butter cup has protein.
I don't care about protein when I'm eating s'mores. I'm just eating a s'more. Yeah, I don't care. Yeah. What's that?
No. I was saying don't try to torture us
Right.
into being healthy.
Yeah, don't
Eat it.
just leave that. Leave that alone. It's good. It's all the bad sugars. Just have it. Okay. All right. Life is too short to not have a campfire s'more.
You could roast jicama instead of the marshmallow.
That might be a little gross. Yeah, but there's probably a lot of things you could roast on. Yeah, just trying. Who took the health coach camping? That's actually ironic. I'm a huge camper. Okay, so also I just wanted to add some things in about spices for flavor, and then making recipes healthier just through your cooking methods. All right. So if you guys brought a recipe with you, let's try to use the reduce, incorporate, substitute, and eliminate on your recipe. Otherwise, I included this really gross taco salad. And see if you guys, so if you want to, just take a couple minutes and either try to fix this taco salad or fix the recipe that you brought in. And then we'll just do it out loud really quick. So take a couple minutes and then we'll finish this and be done. So you want to fix this? You want me to try it? I'll bring it.
Replace the salsa with chocolate sauce.
Oh, no. Anne Marie telling me no glass, people. Oh, sign it. Yeah, let me grab the sign it. It's my brother. He hasn't worked during the day, so if he gets on his texting kick, he just... All right, so I'll share with you guys. Gail brought in ultimate chocolate chip cookies. It's a total of 1.5 cups of sugar, 3/4 cup regular and 3/4 cup brown sugar, which basically is just more sugar with molasses. So I reduced it to 1/2 cup each, and then maybe so you're getting rid of a whole 1/2 cup of sugar, and then or maybe try using a little honey or maple syrup instead, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, and sometimes substituting, like you said, molasses. You
Yeah.
get the extra flavor
You get that flavor punch without
the sugar.
the sweet, yeah. it calls for a cup of butter, which for cookies you do kind of need them a little buttery, but you could reduce it a little bit or add use coconut oil, or maybe just a little less. Vanilla, an egg, whole all-purpose flour, so I said whole wheat pastry flour, baking soda, salt, chopped nuts, leave those, and then instead of a whole 2 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips, I thought maybe a cup and a half, or maybe do like 1 cup that and 1 cup raisins if people don't hate raisins. So that would be a way that I would reconstruct that. Okay, so what about our taco salad? What are we thinking? What can we change about the taco salad?
Plus ground beef, like a half pound rather than a pound.
Perfect. Yep.
Or maybe half beans.
Yep. Half beans, or just cut it in half. Yep. Or ground turkey breast would be a okay choice too. But yep, either way, I love it. What else?
Black beans instead of chili beans.
Yep. Good.
And substitute the iceberg lettuce for something.
Yeah, like romaine. Yeah.